Welcome everyone to the Elements of Machine Learning. Today is October 23rd, and my name is Gilles Vreken.
And my name is Krikamon Wonde.
And together we'll be lecturing this course this semester.
And in addition to both of us as a lecturer, we are supported by a talented PhD student as teaching assistant. So we have in total 6 teaching assistants that will help us along the line of this lecture. And on top of that, we also have 8 tutors in total. So the TA will be responsible for daily organization of the course, whereas the tutor will help you with the tutorial.
Just to mention, it's not that we don't have pictures of these tutorials, of these tutors. Also the tutorials, but not of the tutors. But we want to keep it a bit more exciting for you, because you will be working in tutorials, writing exercise sheets under the tutelage of one of these talented people. Whereas the TAs and ourselves, you will see a bit less frequently, and hence we thought it was good to show you the pictures.
Yeah. And we'll be splitting this course into 2 parts, and I will be responsible for the first 7 lectures. In these first 7 lectures, I'll be giving you the true element of machine learning.
And then halfway December 14th to be precise, I'll be taking over. And I'll be taking those elements, these basic building blocks, and show what type of beautiful Lego structures we can create from them. So when that is going to happen? Well, you already have the dates here. So if you're very quick, you could already determine, hey, these are Thursdays. And indeed, the lectures are on Thursdays. They'll be held 4:15 till 4:45, perhaps 6, depending on how well the lecture fits. They'll be held in the Günther Hotz Hörsaal, building E22, the big lecture hall for computer science. We will also stream our lectures live to Zoom and live recorded on YouTube. So essentially, wherever you are, you can always follow the lecture. The first lecture is already this Thursday, October 26th, whereas the last lecture, not unimportant, will be on February 8th. 2024. Sounds far away, but well, time flies when you're having fun. Not unimportant with regard to having fun, or perhaps making it a bit more scary or exciting, the exam. The exams are already planned. They're planned respectively for February 23rd, which is a Friday, and March 21st, which is a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Both exams will be written in person, and they will be in English, just so you know. So what do you need in order to take EML, and particularly to take it successfully? When does it make sense for you to take this? Well, you'll be needing some basic programming skills. We assume that all of you have taken PROC 1 or PROC 2 or similar basic programming courses. You'll be using Python. You may or may not know Python yet, but it's a very simple scripting language. It's imperative, no big surprises. The book provides a gentle introduction to Python, as we will do in the first tutorial. In addition, you will need some basic mathematics and proof techniques. This goes a bit beyond high school math, but nothing that you should not have already seen at university. So again, MFE1, MFE2, those are lectures that prepare you for this. And in other study programs, there is often equivalence. So essentially, basic math at the bachelor's level. Third, linear algebra. Many people joke that machine learning is essentially applying linear algebra to data and nothing else. They're not exactly right, but they're definitely not wrong. So we will be seeing quite a bit of linear algebra, whether you like it or not. If you're currently a bit uncertain about your knowledge about linear algebra, I recommend you to read or reread the book Introduction to Linear Algebra by Gilbert Strang, who just retired, but he's essentially the godfather of everything linear and everything algebra. Last but not least, you will also need a dash of knowledge in statistics. So many of you will have taken statistics lab. Many of you will have taken MFE3, and therewith some knowledge of statistics. If you want to brush this up, then the key reference with a slightly scary title is All of Statistics by Larry Wasserman. It's a book that's only this thick, so no way it can contain all of statistics, but essentially gives you an introduction to all the things that you need to know. All the rest is luxury.
And to get the idea of whether you have the right background for this course or not, it's highly recommended that you take the assignment 0. And the assignment 0 is already available online. So look it up and then try it. This assignment is decided to give you an idea of whether you have the right background or not for the course, right? And it will be self-assessed. So we will not grade this assignment. And so you still have time to do this assignment 0 if you haven't done so already. And if you feel that after doing this assignment 0, you don't have enough background, then you should consult all the material that Gilles has already mentioned in the previous slide.
Or, of course, given that the first real assignment, as we'll see in a minute, only is released next week, there's also the opportunity to ask the tutors the very first tutorial. Okay, so now you know what the prerequisites are, you know how to verify whether you satisfy those. What are the materials that we're going to cover in this lecture? We're going to be using 2 books. And the first book is the main book. This is the main reference. That's if you don't understand the concepts in this book, it's going to be very difficult to pass the course. The title of the book is An Introduction to Statistical Learning with Applications in Python. This is a very fresh book. It's a first edition from this year, but the only super fresh part is that the Python aspect changed, because this is a very standard book. Last year, we lectured from Introduction to Statistical Learning with Applications in R, which is a different, more statistically oriented programming language. And this is essentially just a translation into Python. Given that we will use Python, this is the best fitting book. It's an excellent book. This really captures the introduction. This captures the intuitions, everything that you need to know about the elements of machine learning, which happens to be the title of the second reference. And also, this is where the course originally got its name from. Once upon a time, it was called the elements of statistical learning, because statistical learning and machine learning are essentially the same thing. I can faintly hear machine learners cry in the distance, but essentially the same thing.
Crying.
So, whereas the ISLR or ISLP book, the first book, ISLP, ISLR are going to be the abbreviations that we use, gives the intuition. Sometimes it lacks a little bit the true theoretical foundations. And some of you may be scared of those foundations. Some of you are exactly craving those foundations. And this is where the elements of statistical learning is perfect as a reference. There you can all find all the dirty details that you might be looking in. Now, why are we using these books? Why are we using these specific books? Well, they're both really good, written by masters in their craft, plus they're available for free. Your students, what part don't you like of free? The slides that we will put online for this lecture, you can click the PDF links here. In fact, we've already added the links to these books to the materials overview on the course website. In addition, sometimes some of you might crave the feeling of an actual book. Well, you're in luck, because you can go to the university library, and the university library has a number of copies of these books available. They did, well, not quite lock away, but they keep it separate, one copy of each of these books in the so-called semesterapparaat. So basically the bookshelf for this course with the key books, which also includes the books that I just mentioned as prerequisites. So you know that you can find them in the library essentially always. I personally, well, I'm a dinosaur, of course. I like to read from actual books. So you can also order these books. I would recommend doing so, but you have the option of any which way. One other aspect where EML is a little bit special, besides using 2 different books, EML is the only course at UDS that is both a basic lecture and an advanced lecture. And well, this has historical reasons, plus it is because we want to be inclusive. EML is a basic lecture in all recently updated bachelor's CS programs. This includes DSAI, cybersecurity, and the general CS program. Media informatics also has it as an option. I don't know all the programs on the top of my head. For anybody else, that includes people who have not done their bachelor's here at UDS, you can take EML as an advanced lecture, be it as a master's student or so. Of course, we can't give you credits twice for the same course. That would be stupid, would be unfair too. So you can only receive it once. Whether you did it now as a basic lecture or an advanced lecture that is all equal, you can only take it once. So, one other caveat, because there might be still some students, I don't think so, there's not so many around, who could have taken EML when it was still called ESL. So obviously we're not going to give credits if you've taken a completely equivalent course, but that makes sense. Okay.
And so if you pass the exam for this course, you will get 6 credit points. And to be qualified for the exam, you need to score at least 50% on both the theory assignment and the practical assignment. So it highly recommend that you do all the assignments so that you guarantee that you qualify for the exam. And the final grade will be determined by the best grade out of main or re-exam. This means that you have the opportunity to take 2 exams, and then we will take the best grade out of these 2 exams. You can either decide to do just 1 exam and then just stick with the grade that you get, or do both of the exam and then see whether you can do better. Right? And the important part is that every 3 bonus points that you get from the assignment, you get the improvement in terms of passing grade by 1/3. What does it mean? It means that if you already passed the exam and you, in addition to that, you get 3 bonus points, it means that you get 1/3 of your passing grade on top of that. But this doesn't mean that these 3 bonus points will help you pass the exam. You first have to pass the exam to get this bonus point. Right? So it means that you cannot buy your way out of the fail exam with just these 3 bonus points.
I mean, we are generous, but not that generous.
Yes. Yes, and there are 6 assignment sheets in total. So 1 sheet every 2 weeks. Right? And the deadline of the assignment will be at 2 p.m. on the day of the lecture. And you have the option to choose whether you want to do this individually or in a team of 2. Right? And there are pros and cons. There's something that you have to think. Maybe you prefer to do it individually because you want to learn everything on your own, or you want to have a team of 2 because you think it's better to learn together. Right? And then this is something that is up to you. So we don't enforce any regulation of this. You can pair with maybe one of your classmates. Right? And we will post the solution to the non-bonus question after the deadline. Right? And every sheet that you get contains multiple theory questions as well as practical questions. And also there will be 1 bonus question as well. And first sheet basically will be handed out on November the 2nd, right? Which is basically 2 weeks from now, 1 week after the first lecture, and the deadline will be the following week on the November the 16th.
Exactly. So what is very important though, that no matter you're lenient in whether you do this alone or with 2 people in a team, mind you, we also allow people to switch teams between different assignments, because marriage also don't always last forever and ever. That's why should teams? Yes. But what is very important though is that while we do allow people to collaborate, we do not condone plagiarism. We want you, either individually or within your team, to solve the assignments. We want you to learn. We cannot tolerate plagiarism from other sources, where plagiarism is really the verbatim copying from either another team or from a web source. And where I say verbatim, of course, if you change just a few words, I mean, we're not going to split hairs there, right? I mean, copying is copying. And quite frankly, well, we all did cut and paste projects in elementary school, and I do believe that all of you are capable of doing so. That's not what we're interested in. We want to know if you know enough about the elements of machine learning such that you are well prepared, well equipped to survive the exam. For that, we will carefully consider all handed in assignment sheets. Right? If we have any doubt beyond that we can reasonably wish away, we will give a formal warning. Right? You're not immediately out. We'll give a formal warning, we'll explain how and why, and the second time we have to give such a warning, well, it's not a warning anymore. The second time you're out. And we have to, by the rules of the university, report you to the exam office. It sounds very strict, in a way it certainly is, but let's say recent experience showed that this was also necessary. Last year, I have to say, I mean, your fellow students, they did very well. That's all in all, very, very few cases. The year before, however, that was really the peak of plagiarism. I don't know, I mean, that's a season. We had to issue 48 official warnings, and we had to kick out 10 students from the course. That is a deep point that I do not want to repeat. So just to make very clear, you are, of course, allowed to consult other sources, but do not copy, right? The moment that you hand in a copied solution, just say, okay, I studied it very well. It is impossible for me, for Dr. Mohandet, or for any of our tutors to determine, okay, is it you or, yeah. So make sure that the solution is yours. Okay, now, one way, so avoiding plagiarism, to help you pass the prerequisites and the assignment sheets are the tutorials. The tutorials, we have 2 different time slots. We have Mondays from noon till 2, everybody's favorite tutorial slot, right? And you can avoid all the big queues at Mensa. And another slot on Tuesday from 4 till 6. I think this is also everybody's favorite slot, but this was frankly the only one available where we had enough rooms free. The tutorials are going to be in person only, with very few exceptions. Those will be posted on the website, but in person. So we believe that this is the best learning experience for a tutorial. In order for us to be able to create a tutorial student assignment, we ask you to register on the course website, latest by November 2nd. We will, the day after, that's the plan, issue already the assignment of which tutorial you're booked in. And then, well, this is, I think, the November 2nd is a Thursday. So then on the Friday, you have your assignment. Monday and Tuesday will be then the tutorials. Okay, then what do these tutorials, what is the rhythm? What do we do? Right. Let me try to explain this in a nutshell. Suppose they were somewhere in the middle of the semester. This is easiest, right? Because recursion kind of works that way. We're in week N, and we're at the day of the lecture on a Thursday. Well, that happens to also be the deadline of the previous homework sheet, right? So you hand this in, and well, an hour later or so, or maybe minutes later, we post the solutions to that homework sheet on the website. This gives you the opportunity to immediately check, like, hey, did I do smart? Did I do well? Did I do stupid? Or something in between, right? Which will generally be the case, of course. We will also issue, directly after the lecture, a new homework sheet, such that, well, there's more fun waiting for you. Okay, this new homework sheet will be, again, over 2 weeks, 2 weeks of content. Now, in the tutorial following the lecture, so now we're in week N+1, the tutors, they will provide, first of all, a recap of the most important aspects of the previous lecture, right? Such that even if you would not have attended the lecture, you can at least, well, get going. But more importantly, they will explain it in slightly different words and allow you also to interact, ask questions and clarifications. Now, during the tutorial, what do? There's 2 things that we have in mind for you. We will issue additional exercise sheets. So every tutorial will come with its own exercise sheet. This exercise sheet is meant to be made just during this week, targeting those potential homework questions, and maybe there is some connection between the exercise sheets and the assignment sheets for you to figure out, but we already know, such that you can already play a little bit with these problems. You can ask help from the tutors, and in fact, we will also issue already the solution to the exercise sheet. So it's totally up to you whether you want to prepare for the actual assignment sheet using the exercise sheets in the tutorial, or do this at your own leisure at home. For us, this is all equal. Of course, if you do this in the tutorial, you have the benefit that you can actually ask the tutor for additional help. And because it's an exercise sheet that we will not grade, we don't really care about, to a certain extent, whether you do really well or badly, or maybe you didn't understand the things yet, but you do now very well in the assignment sheet. It is there to practice. So you can get feedback from the tutors. In addition, you can ask any question, as long as it's related to EML. Let's skip private questions to the TAs as well. Okay, then next week, well, essentially the same thing. There's a recap, but now of the lecture of N+1. There's a new exercise sheet reflecting lecture N+1. And you can again ask questions, and the tutors will seek to answer those. Good.
Yes. And what if you have a question? What happens if you want to ask some question? Right. And this is understandable. I think it's good that you have the question regarding the lecture or whatever question that are relevant to the course. Right. But because of the exceptionally large number of students in this course, it's impossible for us to personalize our answer to everyone. We cannot answer every question that everyone might have in this
At least not personally.
At least not personally, but we have worked hard to basically try to establish an infrastructure that would help you find the answer to your question very quickly, right? So if you have a question, what should you do? First, check the website. The websites already contain a lot of information, right? So check the website first, check the lecture material and recommended reading material. If the question are relevant to the contents of the lecture, of course. And on top of that, if you have a more general question, you could also check if your question is already asked or answered on the forum. So keep in mind that we also have forum that students can post and answer the question, right, that they might have. And if you follow these two steps already, and then you cannot find the answer to your question, then you can directly post your question in the EML forum on the CMS. Right? And we are quite sure that 99% of your question will be answered if you follow these 3 steps. Right? But if you have question regarding private issue, let's say something that is relevant or related to your exam or your assignment, right? Then you should email this to eml-tas@cispar.de, right? And then the TA will be handling your question, and I believe they will be happy to answer your question as well. What is not recommended is to send your question or send an email directly to us.
Please don't.
It's not that we don't want to answer your question. It's just that your email will be lost in a pile of email we already have every day, right? So in your best interest, it's better to follow this step, basically, to get your question answered quickly, right? And please remember, always be nice, right? So we are here to help you, not to serve. And if you're being rude to us or to your TA or tutor, then I don't think your question will be answered. And I think it's always good to be nice to everyone, right? So for example, if you want to write emails, then please use this template, for example, dear X, and then you can write whatever you want to ask, and then invite best regard with your name. Right?
And be nice, I think, is very general, good advice, not just for EML, not just for studying, but
always be nice.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think that's it from both of us, and we hope that you will enjoy the ride. I think at some point you might ask yourself what you get yourself into, but that's life. And I think we hope that at the end of the course, you will learn something useful for you in the future. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.